Welcome back. Now, he's regarded as one of Ireland's greatest movie actors, with turns in Michael Collins, V for Vendetta, The Butcher Boy, Interview with the Vampire, to mention just a few. But he's probably best known for his Oscar-nominated turn in The Crying Game. He's now using his platform to highlight a very important fundraiser for the national housing charity Threshold, and has lent his voice to their Bedtime Stories initiative. And he joins us on the line now. Stephen Ray, a very good morning to you.
Morning, Stephen.
How are you?
We're good. And yourself? Thank you for joining us. For those viewers joining us this morning, Stephen, who aren't aware of Threshold, first of all, you might tell us a little bit about the charity.
Well, I wasn't too aware of it myself, you know, but it's been around for 40 years. It does incredible work, provides service for people who are in danger of homelessness. I mean, to me, it's just extraordinary that that homelessness is still an issue, and that it has to be a voluntary charity that sorts it out. You know, Peter McVerry does a lot, you know, in his way too. But they do incredible work. This year, 20,000 people were saved from homelessness. This pandemic has meant that even more people are threatened. There's a 20% increase, and there will be a 20% increase in 2021. This year, they've saved almost 75,000 people from homelessness and 20,000 women and children. They've prevented 300 illegal convictions, and I just kind of feel we got to join in and help. And so a lot of actors have done that, reading stories. So if you sign up for £10 a month, until December 31st, you can access all these beautifully read stories by Pete Breach-Brennan, Judith Roddy, Barry McGovern, August Misha.
It's incredible, Stephen, that the way, because we've spoken to so many people representing charities, you know, since March, since the lockdown, and it's incredible how they've had to almost reinvent themselves in terms of ways that they fundraise, because a lot of charities' flag days were cancelled this year, and Threshold are no different. They have to raise the money a different way. When the idea was broached to you, was it something that you thought, absolutely, you thought about straight away, I'm going to get involved in it?
Well, of course, you know, you can't, you know, even my sons here say, you can't say no to children, you know. No. The idea of children being homeless at this time of the year, it's just too much. I mean, I would urge the government to get onto this too. Do you know what I mean? I mean, what would be the first thing you would do if you went into government? It would be say, I'm going to take all the homelessness off the streets. Yeah. That would be one of my top priorities, you know. But as they're not doing it, we'll have to do it. And,
exactly, and it's our responsibility. But Stephen, can I ask you, you travel the world for work, and I know you come home to Dublin. Pre-lockdown, you would have been on the move a lot, from one movie set to the next. Do you find yourself coming home and realising this homelessness issue is still top of the list in terms of Irish issues? Is it frustrating?
I find it so shocking, you know. I mean, I think, okay, I don't want to be too overtly political, but I think it's obviously the government isn't prepared to deal with the rent issue and the whole housing issue. It's left as a private thing, you know, and I just think we've got to get a bit more political about it.
And particularly in these times, Stephen, because, you know, a lot of people have lost their jobs because of the pandemic. The government will say, well, we're doing our bit, we're trying to, you know, there are grants, there are payments, you know, there are schemes that they're bringing in, but there are going to be a lot more people who are facing into a lot harsher Christmas than they would have been this time last year.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
And kids living in a hotel. Well, I mean, hotels are closed now too, aren't they? It's pretty scary, and you know, I do blame the politicians. You know, I do. But this crowd, Threshold, are absolutely fantastic. You know?
They certainly are, and doing incredible work, Stephen. What kind of stories are you reading?
Oh, I'm reading a poem of Patrick Kavanagh, and I'm reading a long short story of Patrick Kavanagh, which is absolutely brilliant. you think of Kavanagh mostly to do with poems, but in fact, the short stories are sensational and just hilarious and set in an Ireland of a different time, you know. But I think you'll love it.
And in terms, Stephen, of the lockdown and the last 7 months, 6, 7 months, how did that affect you in terms of, you know, had you, I presume, like always, you had a scheduled year, you know, you were probably had projects happening or scheduled to happen. So how has the year been? Have they been postponed? Have they been cancelled? What's the year been like for you?
Well, I started the year with 3 series that I was going to do. One in LA, one in Spain, one in England. The English one has been cancelled. The other 2 have been postponed, I think, and I haven't done a thing all year.
And how are you dealing with that, Stephen? How are you dealing with that?
The one in Spain will have.
Sorry, Stephen. How are you dealing with that? You know, because you, I know from having worked with you myself, I mean, you're a busy man. You know, there's a project on the go, there's one in development, there's one coming down the road. So for you to be told, right, that's it, go home now and wait until we tell you it's okay to work again, like in terms of your own mental health, how have you dealt with it?
I'm going crazy.
No, I hear you.
At least you're honest, Stephen.
I was fine for the first lockdown, you know, because the weather was so beautiful, and me and my 2 sons were out in the garden planting trees and everything, and it was lovely, you know, to have that time at home.
Yeah.
But I'm getting a bit worried now, and then you hear news that Spain is really in a bad way with coronavirus, and so maybe it'll be postponed yet again.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's the first time I've never worked, you know, I will say.
Of course, and you're Stephen Ray, you know, so you have tons of work, and the frustration is that it can't be done, and all these movies and dramas are on pause. You were nominated for an Oscar for Best Actor in the leading role for The Crying Game. Was that the turning point in your career, Stephen?
It was a turning point, no question. You know what I mean? It had got me known in America, and I was also doing a play of Frank McGuinness's on Broadway, so I had a kind of moment of recognition over there, you know. But so, you know, and it was a great film. You know, it's a film that people still remember, and you know, Neil is a truly great director. I'm lucky to have done, I think, 12 films with him now.
I was just going to say, Stephen, I mean, you've done 12 movies with him. What is it about him that makes you and him work? What is it that attracts you to projects when you see Neil's name on it, or when he, you know, calls you and says, right, this is the next plan, what do you think? Why do you guys work so well together?
Well, I always want to work with him because he's so original, you know. And I did a film with him, with Isabelle Huppert, a couple of years ago, and he said, it's too small for you, you won't want to do it. And I read it and I said, no, I'll do it, you know, because it's more interesting being with him than with any other director for me, you know. Really.
And in terms, Stephen, of, because I know your background is obviously theatre, and you mentioned Broadway there, that's a particular side of our industry that looks particularly bleak and particularly terrifying. Have you ever got, I mean, regardless of what's happened or happening with COVID, if and when we get back to normality, do you want to get back on the boards? Is that an itch that you want to scratch?
Well, you know, suddenly when you read the right play, you want to get back on the boards. I don't say, oh, I've got to, you know, I'll die if I don't do this. But, you know, Frank McGuinness is waving a play around at the moment. That maybe, but you know, theatre doesn't function at the moment because you can't, you know, social distancing doesn't work in theatre.
No.
You know, it really doesn't.
Well, hopefully it'll turn around. Listen, Stephen, we appreciate your time. You know, I was going to say we know you're a busy man, but we know you're going a bit crazy at home because you're not planting trees at the minute. But listen, thank you for taking your time. We appreciate your work on the campaign, and we'll, of course, push it here for you as well. It's a noble campaign.
Hold on.
Oh, he's bringing up. Look, he's bringing. I knew you'd bring up. There's Chippy Brady. Yeah, OK.
Go on, let him talk. Go on.
I'll
take out a picture of George Best now in a minute. Listen, good to talk to you, Stephen. Thanks.
God, Thanks a million.
Thank you, Stephen. Stay safe and look after yourself.
Now, to find out more about Threshold's bedtime stories, you can visit thresholdbedtimestories.ie, and all the details are also up on IrelandAM's Facebook page as well. Great campaign.
Yes, he just came alive at the end there, didn't he?
Chippy, Brady.
Amazing what football can do. Now, you can contact the Threshold free phone helpline, which is open Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m, and that's 1800 454 454.
Right, we'll take a quick break. Stay with us. We're live until 12.